Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy New Year. We've got another year coming around the corner. We're excited about the things that are going on. JJ, Representative
Yes, sir.
Humphrey, how are
What do
you
you
today?
about? I'm good today.
Well,
Very good.
JJ, why don't we look at how things are? Are we better off today than we were a year ago?
Well, Bob, here's what I wanted to do today. Let's give Harp. They've changed the way that they do performance evaluations. You remember that? How
Yeah.
they changed? They didn't tell nobody, and if they liked you, you didn't get a good one. And if they liked you, you got a raise, and if they didn't like you, you didn't get a raise. And I think a lot of people forgotten things like that. How they do these evaluations. I was told they called people even from home, made them meet them up on the highway. Hey, here, sign this. This is your evaluation, and never went over it, never did anything. So I thought today, Bob, what we could do is give old Director Harpe a performance evaluation. And I've been sitting here trying to come up with, I'm trying, so for our listeners, if me and Bob are a little lopsided, we may be a little biased or whatever. So if you think that we skipped something or did not give him credit for something, you can let us know. But Bob, what do you think on the evaluation? What do you think the first place we ought to look at?
I'd be to say transparency.
Well, Bob, on transparency, he gets a big fat F because here's the deal. I have been asking and asking and asking for records, and he will not give any records that are public records. Now, I'm a representative, and if I can't get them, I suspect nobody can get them. Of course, they hate my guts, but Bob, they by law they're required to give those. Now, they sent me a letter saying that they had met with my leadership in the House and that they had both agreed to keep me from getting records. Director, I can tell you that's going to end up really funny for you. We'll see how that one goes. But Bob, that it's the precedent of what they've done to go over and get with the House and to make an agreement to not give any public records, to shut off public records, forced me to sign a non-disclosure. I can't even come on here and discuss if I go over and look at records. It's unbelievable. He's a non-elected bureaucrat that is doing that kind of thing. And that's I've been around government all my life. I mean, I've worked 35 years in government, most of that for the Department of Corrections. I've never even heard of anything like it.
Well, I haven't either, but he goes out of his way to try to do everything he can to be non-transparent and to hurt OCP.
Right, right. Well, Bob, one of the things so he fails on transparency big time, big fat F on that. But Bob, I was looking at the employees. A big grade that you're going to get. What's your main thing in the Department of Corrections? It's going to be your employees. If you're the director, that's your number one. That's your biggest money amount. That's your biggest issue right there. If you keep them employees working, if you have a proper staff, you're not going to have half the problems. If the employees are with you, you're not going to have many of the problems. So the thing about it is, I was just kind of looking at, Bob, this guy has fired a record number of people. And I'm talking record. I mean, out of the top, he fires the doctor, just walks in there, fires. Communication director fires. A big portion of the ward. I talked to one of the deputy wardens who he didn't fire, but he left because of the way. And I can't tell you how many of them I talked to that are just like, hey, I'm just biding my time. As soon as I can get out of here, I'm out of here because I can't stand working for him. And so, Bob, we see people all the time. We're representing people on OCP all the time who are just previously fired. I mean, it's just unbelievable how he does that and for the reason he does it. And then when you stack that up against him, when you stack it up to you shoot your floor. Let's not forget this year he shot his own floor, you know. And when we look at, while we're fighting trying to get records, which he wouldn't give, again, this is his transparency, Bob.
Right.
He would not give his own firearms records. Did he go and follow policy? Did he go take a drug test? Probably not. You know what I'm saying? Get the rule book out and say, did he follow rules? Well, guess what? He never answered. He will not answer. And again, why? Because he's probably not in compliance. I figure he just tries to hide everything, not in compliance at all. And so, you know, when we look at him firing everybody, and then look who he hires, Bob. He hires OMES people without any kind of experience, people who used to work with him. By the way, Bob, more and more people are kind of coming out what was going on at OMES. And I said for a long time, I said from the first day, hey, they had to sneak him out the back door in the middle of the night. And everybody, oh, JJ. Now it's kind of coming out. Yeah, that was right. He did a terrible job over there. But he fires all these people and he brings over people who have not 1 ounce of experience. And he gives them all these really, really high-paying jobs. It's unbelievable. Bob, I've never seen, you know, I joke and kid about, you know, you remember old Gene Stipe?
Yeah.
I joke and kid all the time. Hey, this cat make Gene Stipe blush. But it really is not a joke. I mean, when you look at the numbers and levels of people that he's done that with, it's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it.
Well, what else you think about? What are other than transparency?
When you're looking at, you know,
Well, that's the financial part.
Well, hey, let's talk about employees just a little bit more before we go to financial.
Right.
I've got some stuff on financial. But, you know, when you talk about him firing his firearm into the floor, and then at the same time, Bob, I won't never forget this. You had a person that was watching over one of those, it's like the chaplains bringing in a group and they're ordering pizza. And one of those officers was out there and they said, you want to buy the pizza? You want to eat some pizza? And the officer ate pizza. Now, when I was there, nobody said a word about that. That wouldn't have been no big deal, you know, but guess what? If I remember right, they were trying to fire a person for that right after he shot his floor. And so that's the kind of difference. Bob, when you're looking at the fact that he gave himself a raise, and we're going back to this transparency, I've asked to see how that raise was approved 1,000 times. They've come out and said, we've told JJ numerous times how that was done. Bob, what they said was illegal. You can't do what they said, and they've never given me anything. So again, here's the guy gives himself a $90,000 raise that he can't give you approval and has to lie and say that he's already told me how it's approved. Again, when you're looking at how does that make the employees feel, you know, Bob, when they're having to buy their own, you know, patches and put on their own uniform, I was told they have to replace their uniforms. If one tears or wears out, you have to replace it. When he's sitting up there with these nice new uniforms he's wearing, Bob, it just, I mean, when you want to talk about employee morale, Bob, does anybody tell you he's doing a great job?
No, I've never heard anybody say he's doing a great job.
I'm not. You know who says he's doing a great job?
Who?
Him and what's her name? His sidekick that he brought over from OMES, Thompson. What is Kay Thompson? Kay Thompson always says every article under the great direction of the Department of Corrections Director Harpe. You know, remember when the girl got busted there at Lark with all the dope and had guess what? We've started new programs to stop drugs in the prison under the great direction. And I'm going, you going to write that when they just busted your deputy director or deputy warden with a bunch of dope and
talking about drugs. I talked to a former inmate the other day, and he was talking about how bad the drugs are in the prison. We know they're bad. He said they're just it's unbelievable what's going on in the prisons. They're getting all the drugs they want, and then some.
Well, what the problem?
He hasn't stopped the drugs from coming in.
Well, but Bob, the problem with the drugs is that you don't have enough employees. That's the bottom line. It's not only that he fires people and brings people over, but he has been probably the most ineffective person to hire people. They show all of these. Oh, we got these, academies. Man, we just saw one big academy. And I hope they stay. I do. I hope we do get the numbers up. I don't wish them bad luck. But again, here's the deal. How do you retain those officers? And they come out and they such lie. And you talk about transparency again. They can about 400. They do away with 400 positions from what I can tell. Now, you can't tell nothing because you can't get a record from them. But it looks like that they did away with 400 at least positions. And then they sit up there and say, well, we got 80% retention rate. And again, it's such a big fat lie. And the problem is, how many employees do they have? I know they've dropped it from saying they needed 1736 after they hired, Bob, they overtook. So they brought in Alan Gamble. So now Alan Gamble's under them.
Yeah.
Now Alan Gamble has 1,700 roughly inmates. If you look at anywhere else, that should require more than 250, probably 300 correctional officers. And again, during that same period of time, they dropped the number that they said they needed down to 1,500 from 1,736 or so.
Well, JJ, don't forget, he's also put the prison in charge of shot callers or running the prison.
Yeah, Bob. I mean, here's the inmates are running the show. I think everybody will agree with that. Even down here at my prison, that's close to me down here at home where I used to work, they tell me, hey, the inmates are running, go wherever they want, walk off wherever they want, go down by the firing range, go up here, go up there. You know what I'm saying?
I want to tell you, I meant to tell the listeners that we're only going to do a 30-minute show today. So we got to be quicker and not elaborate too much. So
Bob, we said we were going to go as long as we need to. But here's the deal. Lawsuits. He's got lawsuits, that we're winning. He's trying to break OCP. And Bob, here's the deal. He's going outside and hiring outside counsel.
That's what this is ridiculous. I mean, I cannot believe that the governor or the attorney general agrees to that, but I guess they have.
Well, we're going to check that out, Bob. We'll see if they have or not. But just to do it, here's the deal. The AG just got on the state superintendent over that.
He got on him, but he'll let him bring in these high-paid lawyers. In that one case, there was $1,000 an hour in the courtroom.
Bob, and I think that was the same thing that Todd Russ on the treasurer on that BlackRock. And now that BlackRock, in my opinion, would require some outside counsel. That's pretty complicated. That's a little bit more complicated than normal. But again, that's the big issue. And here you have just employment issues, not complicated at all. And you're going to hire, like you said, $1,000 hour. I mean, you talk about wow. The overtime issue, one, they can't get it worked out. Here's the deal. I don't have a problem working people overtime. I think people want overtime. But you know what I'm saying? You can't work them hundreds of hours. You can't work them 24/7, right? 24 hours in a row. You shouldn't be doing
that. That's a violation of the law too. And
it's a violation of the law, but it's again that shows you just how abusive this situation is. And it shows you if you're having to work people 24 hours and you're claiming that you got an 80% retention, something ain't G-hauled, something. And again, you can't get real records from them, so who knows? But anytime you're having to see people work those kind of hours, there's a massive problem. And anytime you start seeing one of the things they've done is just drop the number of people they have working, Bob. They're claiming, well, you have 7 show up. Well, we just run shift with 7 people. Insane. It's insanity. And that's
what comes into where they got the inmates running the show, so they won't riot. And they get a free pass for drugs coming in.
That's going to just continue to get worse to the point where they step in and say, okay, we got to do something. And when they step in and say, we got to do something, that's when you're going to see major problems. But Bob, when you're looking at what's a riot's when the inmates have taken control. Well, guess what? We've got a riot going on across the whole entire state because the inmates are running the show and they're letting them run a show. So again, you got a perpetual riot going on because you got people. And we'll move just from, Bob, we could talk all day about just the employees on what's been done, but right. We can slide on to the inmates. And look, he's got a record number. I've never even come close to hearing the numbers of stabbings, murders, overdoses, rapes, the whole 9 yards. I mean, this guy, if you want to give him an A for number of increasing number of stabbings, number of rapes, he gets an A for that, but he gets an F for treatment of inmates. I mean, that's
how many deaths do you figure we're going to end up with this year?
Well, Bob, from what I figure and what we're going on, I think we're going to end up in a 2-year period. I'd looked at a 2-year period, 360, 364.
That's 2 years is when basically when he took over.
Yeah, so basically, if you want to say just half that and say probably about 180, I mean, you got about 180 deaths that I think we're going to be on. And again, guys, we have to estimate that. We'll be pretty close. I call the
now these are guys who died of either overdose or they were murdered.
Bob, I was looking at Allen Gamble, and I went back a year when they were private, and the year that we took them over, which was this year, and that was in September, and we'd already had double. I mean, it was unreal. You doubled up the number of deaths since the state took it over. There's no question. If you want to look at poor management, just go look at that. I mean, because I would have given the private an F. I'd have given the private an F.
Well, they also got a lot of suicides. And, and I think the suicides, from what I can understand, comes a lot to do with when they're being raped. These guys are being raped and they can't take it and they commit suicide. They don't investigate that.
Well, there's no doubt that the conditions are going to be a big part of you're getting extorted, you're getting raped, no doubt that's going to lead to suicides, no question. But Bob, here's my question. After looking at this case where we caught them covering up murder, caught them covering up murder, I think that should be charged obstruction. But again, here's the deal. How many of those suicides were actually murders? I mean, really, if I want to murder somebody in prison, just put a rope around their neck, murder them, shoot them in the head and put a rope around their neck, and they're going to call it suicide. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's unreal. If you look at the lawsuits that we have on the Shire situation, Bob, that they said didn't happen, guess what? Federal government accepted that. That's human rights violation.
You got to remember, they said it didn't happen, but they won't do it again.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question it happened. For the federal government to step in and take that, Bob, it's just unprecedented. People don't realize how big that is. When you stack that on top of it, we turned in all these rapes, and they said they investigated it. Rapes and whistleblower. And here's the deal. The whistleblower, they never talked to the whistleblower. I prepared the stuff. They never talked to me. We've won twice in court. What's that tell you? And so for the AG to say investigate, it's a straight up lie. If you want to look at, did they investigate the rape? We gave them all kinds of witnesses. They didn't go talk to anybody. They didn't talk to the witnesses we brought in. They didn't investigate it. They didn't investigate it, period.
Well, I would say that you got to admit he's done a good job of covering it up. Done a good job of getting these people to go along with him and his agenda when he lies. When he has a problem with the complete truth on the situation, but he has got the governor on his side. He's got the AG on his side, so he can do whatever he wants.
Well, Bob, he gets an F in transparency. He gets an F in the treatment of employees. You know, he covers up murders, so he gets an A in cover up. Man, he gets an A in cover up. I will tell you that. If there's anybody that can get away with, and Bob, I don't know whether I give him an A in cover up or an A in kissing ass, because he really ain't that great in cover up. We actually have found all of it, but he gets away with it. There's a little difference between covering it up means nobody knew and he slick and got that out of there. He ain't that slick. You know, we caught him on the 90,000. We caught him on the travel. We got him busted right in the middle of a lie on how much travel he has, and that come out. We caught him, you know, shooting his floor. He tried to cover that up. Caught him on that. We've caught him on all these deaths. We caught him on covering up murders. And guess what? We caught him on covering up rape, and they ain't done anything. And so, again, I don't know how that works, but we're getting all those cases into court. You know, when we get this human rights violation shower deal, I think that opens everything up. When you look at some of the rapes we now have on film, they're going to have a hard time denying that stuff like that ain't going on and that they shouldn't look into it. And now with this murder, and we got them dead banger covering up the murder. I mean, they're caught. They're caught with all the crap they've done. Unbelievable.
Now you talking about that kid that small, you know, 5'4", 130 pounds.
Oh, absolutely, Bob. It's unbelievable what they've done right there in trying to cover that up. They were going to give the guy who murdered him, they were going to give him a you know, write-up. They were going to file charges on him. They were going to give him a write-up. I purposely waited for quite some time before asking for records because I want to see how long they go. Guess what? They never filed a charge on him until I requested the records. Then 2 days later, they jumped down there and filed charges. Only here's the deal. Let's go back and look at how they investigated, and I can promise you they did a terrible job. And what do you want to bet that they have not investigated? And guys, you're going to get the chance to talk about all this. How you lied on all of these things and how you didn't investigate, how you did not go back and investigate. Was this guy put in there on purpose? What do you want to bet they hadn't looked at none of that, Bob? Why was that guy in that cell? Why was that guy at OSP? Why did they call and lie to the family or tell the family a lie when the family didn't even bother calling family? Why did they lie about when he had died to the family? All of these things.
What would be the purpose of that? I mean, I don't.
They're covering up everything. They don't want anybody to look at it. He died 17th. We don't know how he died. They figured that they're just going to be another inmate family and go on. And this inmate family called me, and guess what? I started digging in and found out real quick. Wow, what is this guy doing at OSP? Is the number one answer to your question. Wow, you know. When was he moved? Because I was told he was moved in the middle of the night to that cell. I'd like to see the films on that. What do you want to bet they try to cover that up? But 2 or 3, you know, why was he still in there? Why was he even in prison? And now we're seeing that he should have been, it looks like, released almost 10 or 11 months before that. So if they kept him past his discharge date, and their discharge dates are all over, you see this. And that's them, not me making. They've had 7/5, they've had 1/19, they got 9/12. We know 9/12 was the date that he died, not the date he's supposed to be discharged. They put that on there. So, Bob, I mean, here's the deal. We look at they covered up the rapes. We looked up they covered up the whistleblower. We've seen where they've tried to cover up this murder. And then, you know, again, how many stabbings, we go back to transparency. He gets big fat F because he's tried to do away with the SIRs so that people don't even know. He's tried to make them not report.
Serious incident report. Okay.
Oh yeah, serious incident reports. He's doctoring those so that you don't get real. I mean, Bob, I was told a person got stabbed, an officer got stabbed in the jaw, you know, in the jaw right there, and they said don't report it. an officer had feces thrown on him. They said, don't report it. You know what? Officer hit in the eye. I'm getting calls. Now, can I prove those happened? We'll see. But at the end of the day, not only, and here's the deal, Bob, let's go back and look at how many. I looked in the month of October, they had 17 assaults on staff that I found. And when you find that assault on staff, you're out of control. When you get that many, you're out of control. And the thing about it is, how many of those did they file charges on? That's why they're saying this young man was at OSP. Did you file charges on him? Where's the write-up? Why can't I get those records? I've requested them. Why can't I get those records to show that you legitimately did all this? Because guess what? You can't get a record from them because they're a bunch of liars. That administration, I love our staff, but the administration are liars. They're liars, and I believe they're criminals. I believe that some of the stuff they're doing is criminal. And so again, like embezzlement, when you take a $90,000 raise without justification, that's called embezzlement. So again, when you cover up murder, that's a major problem. You know what I'm saying? If you're complicit in that. So when we're looking at all of these things, Bob, what the lawsuits that we're seeing, the rates out of control, the number of deaths out of control, shock collars, prisoners running to prison. Again, I'm going to give him an F in transparency. I'm going to give him an F in the treatment of employees. I'm going to give him an F in the treatment of inmates. Bob, here's what I don't get. You claim, all this, you're best friends with the governor. That's why you're there. Everybody knows it. Now, they just had a $1.9 billion infrastructure. And this guy's great friends with the governor. He's all meeting with the House leadership who controls the purse. And he can't get no money for Dick Connors, whose water goes off. That city water is out 2 or 3 times a year, E. coli, all that. You couldn't help get something right there and fix that problem when there was 1.9 billion. And Bob, I mean, I don't know if you remember, but remember that hearing we had, that study we had, we showed the pictures of the commodes and all of that. Bob, they've had that at Lexington. They've had it at Dick Connors. They've had it at Granite, OSR. They've had it in multiple places. The heat thing, it hadn't been as bad this year. I will say this year, the heat hasn't been as bad as times past, but in times past, I've had them send me things showing like 120 on some of them units and stuff. And have we seen them do anything about that? Lockdown.
One thing is it's pretty difficult for things to get done when he has to make the decision on just about everything. When he's not there, when he's out flying around, he's not there, and we're getting the prisons is being run by the shock collars. We're still having all these problems, but he's not there.
Well, he don't know prisons, Bob. He never worked a prison. So everything's going through him, but he don't know diddly crap. And anybody that disagrees with him, he fires. And then he brings over somebody who knows less than he does that'll kiss his butt because he won't have anybody there that questions him. And again, that's why he's tried to do away with OCP. That's why he's after me. And so, Bob, there's no question this guy, he's not going to have anybody that questions his authority or questions him, which shows you a pretty small person, Bob. That shows you a pretty small person is that you have to have people out there. And when they're telling you, hey, what you're saying don't line up, then you need to go check, are they right or are you right? That's just easy breezy, common sense stuff. And so, again, that's who we are. Bob, the lockdowns, the heat and air, we're coming up on the 30 minutes. If you want me to speed up, I can speed up. There's all kinds of stuff that we could talk about. I want to talk about real quick though. What are you going to give him? Is he actually doing a good job? Bob, I'll tell you what he's doing a good job at. He's doing a good job of going after OCP, going after the associations, going after those employees again, so the employees don't have a voice. So he's tried to infiltrate and get OCP and get the people controlling OCP out answering to him, use them to try to kill OCP. We managed to keep that alive. We're working on still keeping that alive, and we're working on growing that. We've got some great ideas. We are going to do some things in the future where you don't have to let them know that you're joining. We're going to do PayPal, those kind of things, and we're going to make it to where you can join and not have to worry about retaliation, and you can be a part of OCP. We want to grow OCP so we can have a better voice in the legislature and with DOC. But I'll give him an A for his efforts to try to kill OCP. I'll give him an A for that. Bob, I'll tell you what, I'll give him an A. He's went over and met with the House, and he's managed to kill the correctional committee. I'll give him full credit for that. I'll give him an A for that. But again, Director, don't think that. Do you think I really need a committee? I'm fixing to show you what a leader is. A leader is not somebody. You're not a leader. You get a title you don't deserve. You haven't earned. You haven't done anything to get it. You're a failure. You're a failure. And you don't have anything. And again, I don't need a title. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. And again, we're fixing to find out you and the House leadership are going to answer for your little private meetings that I've kept track of. And I know you was down in Begg's meeting, and we'll get you that. And we'll get what you were meeting, and we'll see what was happening. And if possible, we're going to file a big fat lawsuit on you, but you'll get an A for doing all that. Now, it may cost you. You do know that carries a year in the county covering up, what is that, violation of Open Records Act, which I got you dead banger on. If we file a lawsuit, Director, I got you dead banger on that. You wrote me and told me. So again, but he'll get an A for that effort to try to kill all that, Bob, to try to kill what we're trying to do for the employees. I'd say he gets an A on that. The camera thing, Bob, I'm going to give him about a C on cameras. I like the camera deal. I like what he's trying to do with the camera deal. But at the same time, to come out and lie about it and say, oh, we put these on and Priya's dropped 60%. What a such a liar. I mean, that's unbelievable lying. Say SIR's dropped. Again, very, very unbelievable liars. And so, I like the ideal of what he's trying to do with the cameras. I think he needs to work with the employees to come up with something, giving them breaks. We already seen where some of the employees said something about a captain or whatever, and now it's being used against them. So we know that there's problems with the cameras, but I'll give him a C for that.
He doesn't believe in the freedom of speech.
No, absolutely not. But Bob, is there something I have not? I mean, he gets an F in transparency. He gets an F in the treatment of employees. He gets an F in treatment of inmates. He gets an F in trying to improve conditions. I mean, I ain't seen anything that he's done to try to improve conditions. You
always have to ask, are you better off today than you were a year ago? And
that's the question. If I'm giving him his performance evaluation, my gosh, you're a failure. I mean, that's what you are. You're a failure. And so again, I would say don't let J.J. Humphrey say that. Just go and look at the conditions. Like Bob said, are you better off or are you worse off? Has he tried to kill your association? Has he tried to cover up everything? Absolutely. Is he transparent? Absolutely not. Does he change meanings? I mean, escapes or walkaways, riots or group disturbances, I mean, that's this guy's answer. Just change the name, hide it, change some numbers, and we're doing great. And then to go out and brag, we're doing great. Well, if he is, I can't see it. And if you think I'm wrong, please contact us. I'd love to hear it if I've forgotten something.
Well, I guess overall his rating is not too good.
Bob, it's terrible. It's terrible. It's a big fat F. And again, the only thing, and Bob, honestly, this is the honest truth. I talked to you this morning, and we were getting ready for coming on here, and we talked about that we got some stuff, and we need to cut her a little short today. But I started making a list, and that's what we're going after. And I started making a list, and I honestly started trying to say what were the pros. That what is he good at? And again, I know he's pretty sharp on numbers, but I can tell you everything I've seen him touch has been a disaster. OMES is a disaster. This is a disaster. Bob, I mean, can you think of anything I've left out maybe that he's done good?
Well, he's done good about getting you removed as chairman.
Well, I gave him an A for that. I gave him an A. I respect the fact that he's able to go over there and politic and use his position with the governor to get me out and to make an agreement. Now, here's what's funny, Bob. He had to brag about it and write me that I wasn't going to get any records. That's an open records violation, and I have that. I mean, there's no question from them. So if we will file that, that's easy.
Well, JJ, I want to wish everybody a happy new year. And my Christmas, I had a great time at my Christmas. All the grandkids and great grandkids opening their presents. And I'm looking forward to, actually looking forward to this next year, hoping and praying that things will get better.
Well, Bob, I had a great Christmas myself. I mean, we had a big family. I'm blessed. This first Christmas I've had without my dad, that was a little tougher. You know, I had an uncle that, you know, we do Christmas Eve with my aunt and my uncle that we're real close to. They live right here too. And I've known them. It's like my wife's family is my family. You know what I'm saying? Because we've known each other forever. And he died. My Uncle Ray died. And I can tell you, I sat in his chair this year, and it just, you know, it's just a little, it's unsettling. You know what I'm saying? But we had a great time. We had a great Christmas. We're blessed. They left a legacy, and so proud of that. But Bob, I'll tell you what I look forward to this year, and this is what I'm going to say. This year is going to be a fight. And I want to tell you, listeners, if y'all think that we're not in the fight, that they haven't tried to go after Bob, and you think they ain't tried to go after me to find opponents against me, which they couldn't do. They tried, but they didn't get successful. They killed the correctional committee. Now, all the problems in corrections and all the things we've done, they've killed that. They've killed everything that we're trying to do politically. They think they have. The war is, can we go out to the public and win that war? I think we can. We're going to have a dogfight. We're going to have a fight, and I'll guarantee you don't get in a fight. You don't get some cuts and bruises. So I just want to tell you, you're not alone. Everybody in there is worried about, I'd lose this, I'd lose that. Guess what? I put my job on the line every time I do this. And if they fire me and send me home, I'll go find another job. That's fine. But we've got to fight to come against dictators, tyrants like this man. And I hope you will get in the fight. We're going to try to give you some cover and let you join OCP with PayPal and some other things we're going to come up, Venmo and stuff like that, so that they can't control that. They're trying another transparency trick. They've gotten all the membership lists, won't give it to us so that we can see how many members and all that. They're just
reconcile our records every month.
Yeah, they're pretty rotten, Bob. They're pretty bad. We could go on all day, but I just want to tell people, get ready this year. Get in the mindset to fight back, to stand up, to hold them accountable for what they're doing. And we're going to be right there beside you. And I want you to join. We need your help. Join OCP. And we're going to get that out there in the next couple of weeks, how to do that. We're going to try to straighten up any problems that we've had and get set right so that we can make this thing. This has been a super organization for the correctional employees, for you professionals out there. And it's something that I hope you won't let go. And I think that if you'll get with us, we can turn it into one of the best organizations in the state.
Well, thank you, JJ, and have a great New Year's, and be warm up there in Lane. It's it's getting a little chilly. Be out there feeding
I'm gonna go feed cows while you watch that ball game, Bob.
Well, I want to watch that ball game. So we'll see everybody, and Happy New Year, and we'll see you next week.